Hard books and classics. Good morning. I'm going to start a tag if I can figure out how to do it. If not, I'm hoping people will take this tag and do their own thing with it. Add perhaps one of their favorite short stories, one they recently read, or take the author, in this case Dennis Johnson, and do something on him. This is Dennis Johnson's new posthumously published this year short story collection, The Largesse of the Sea Maiden. And I like a lot of the stories in here. I was going to read, without further ado, The Largesse of the Sea Maiden, Silences by Denis Johnson. After dinner, nobody went home right away. I think we'd enjoyed the meal so much we hoped Elaine would serve us the whole thing all over again. These were people we've gotten to know a little from Elaine's volunteer work. Nobody from my work, nobody from the ad agency. We sat around the living room describing the loudest sounds we'd ever heard. One said it was his wife's voice when she told him she didn't love him anymore and wanted a divorce. Another recalled the pounding of his heart when he suffered a coronary. Tia Jones had become a grandmother at the age of 37 and hoped never again to hear anything so loud as her granddaughter's crying in her 16-year-old daughter's arms. Her husband Ralph said it hurt his ears whenever his brother opened his mouth in public because his brother had Tourette's syndrome and erupted with remarks like, "I masturbate," "Your penis smells good," in front of perfect strangers on the bus or during a movie or even in church. Young Chris Case reversed the direction and introduced the topic of silences. He said the most silent thing he'd ever heard was the landmine taking off his right leg outside Kabul, Afghanistan. As for other silences, nobody contributed. In fact, there came a silence now. Some of us hadn't realized that Chris had lost a leg. He limped, but only slightly. I didn't even know he'd fought in Afghanistan. "A landmine?" I said. "Yes, sir, a landmine." "Can we see it?" Deirdre said. "No, ma'am," Chris said. "I don't carry landmines around on my person." "No, I mean your leg. It was blown off." "I mean the part that's still there." "I'll show you," he said, "if you kiss it." Shocked laughter. We started talking about the most ridiculous things we'd ever kissed. Nothing of interest. We'd all kissed only people and only the usual places. "All right, then," Chris told Deirdre. "Here's your chance for the conversation's most unique entry." "No, I don't want to kiss your leg." Although none of us showed it, I think all felt a little irritated with Deirdre. We all wanted to see. Morton Sands was there too that night. For the most part, he'd managed to keep quiet. Now he said, "Jesus Christ, Deirdre." "Oh, well, okay," she said. Chris pulled up his right pant leg, bunching the cuff about halfway up his thigh, and detached his prothesis, a device of chromium bars and plastic belts strapped to his knee. Pulled up his right leg, bunched the cuff about halfway up his thigh, and detached his prothesis, a device of chromium bars and plastic belts strapped to his knee, which was intact and swiveled upward horribly to present the puckered end of his leg. "That is a tough sentence, Dennis." Deirdre got down on her bare knees before him, and he hunched forward in his seat, the couch. Ralph Jones was sitting beside him. To move the scarred stump within 2 inches of Deirdre's face. Now she started to cry. Now we were all embarrassed, a little ashamed. For nearly a minute we waited. Then Ralph Jones said, Chris, I remember when I saw you fight two guys at once outside the Aces Tavern. No kidding, Jones said to the rest of us. He went outside to those two guys and beat the crap out of both of them. I guess I could have given them a break, Chris said. They were both pretty drunk. Chris, you sure kicked some ass that night. In the pocket of my shirt, I had a wonderful Cuban cigar. I wanted to step outside with it. The dinner had been one of our best, and I wanted to top off the experience with a satisfying smoke. But you want to see how this sort of thing turns out. How often will you witness a woman kissing an amputation? Jones, however, had ruined everything by talking. He'd broken the spell. Chris worked the prosthesis back into place and tightened the straps and rearranged his pant leg. Deirdre stood up and wiped her eyes and smoothed her skirt and took her seat, and that was that. The outcome of all this was that Chris and Deirdre, about 6 months later, down at the courthouse, in the presence of very nearly the same group of friends, were married by a magistrate. Yes, they're husband and wife. You and I know what goes on. And I'm going to have to go back and do some editing or reread the story or that piece, as Denis says online. But you get a taste of how the collection is, and I hope you like this tag. Gasho.